Hello, welcome back, my Kale cult escapees. This is Debunking Fitness by Kay, and I am Kay, and I am your all things health, nutrition, and fitness guru. And welcome. This is the ninth episode that I have, and I have a different background, as you can tell. So I just recently moved houses, and moving is a process, as anybody who has moved can tell you. And so it has been fun unboxing, unpacking, getting rid of things that I don't need anymore. And I don't know why we've held on to. So yeah, it's kind of been my life lately. Anyway, I'll dive right into it. Today we're talking about why relying solely on exercise for weight loss is a mistake and why it will not really get you anywhere if you have some serious health goals in mind. Um, if we're being honest, like weight loss is pretty heavily nutrition based. Fitness is amazing for it, but you kind of have to have both in order to really achieve that weight loss goal that you might be seeking. So let's go ahead and dive in without being too chatty in the beginning, and then also stick around to the end. Every single episode, I have a little ghost story that I like to share because you can't debunk fitness without debunking the paranormal as well. And that is a big hobby of mine. I spend so much time just watching paranormal stuff. It's like my favorite thing. I don't know why. So I always like to have a little paranormal story at the very end, kind of break it up a little bit. So stick around for that one. That one is very fun. But anyway, let's dive into this all about weight loss and fitness and how nutrition actually plays a massive role in that compared to fitness. So I'm sure you probably heard this before, but 80% of your fat loss and your goals come from nutrition. So people like to say too as well, like abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym, which is true. It is, truthfully. A lot of progress is made from what you put in your body. Research shows that diet accounts for approximately 80% of the weight loss, and exercise is the other 20%. And exercise alone without a calorie deficit will often lead to minimal weight change. You really can't out exercise a bad habit, truthfully. And so, like, here's an analogy for you. So you are in the kitchen, your sink gets clogged, and there's nothing you do. The water is still on, and you're like, oh no, the water is overflowing the sink, getting all over the floor. I'm gonna start mopping up the floor, but you didn't get to the root cause of the problem, which is the sink is still on, and you need to stop the sink in order to mop up the floor, or else it's just gonna be a constant flow. Same thing goes with weight loss. Um, the mopping is going to the gym and putting a million hours of effort into the gym, but you never actually started at the root cause of the problem and turned off the water, aka adjusted your nutrition. So that's kind of where a lot of people I think get lost, is they're like, oh, well, if I just exercise, like, fixes the problem. And it really doesn't, truthfully. Exercise actually burns a lot more fewer calories than you think. This is something that I see pretty often, where someone would say like, oh, I went to the gym and I burned 600 calories and I was only there for an hour. That's a lie. Ain't no way you did that. I would never say that I'm an elite athlete, but I am someone who absolutely loves health and fitness and really loves pushing themselves. And for a really hard session, I would say for like an hour, if you were doing a really tough session for a whole hour, your body was working, you're sweating, you were putting in the work. Okay. You would probably only burn about, like, in an hour, maybe 200, 300 max. Aside from that, like, you're really not making a dent. And so a lot of people actually do overestimate the calorie burn by 3 to 4 times during their workouts. So, well, I guess I could say maybe 30 minutes. 30 minutes, a super intense slash slightly moderate. Kind of depends on I would say your opinion on what moderate and intense is. But that workout can burn about 200 to 300 calories. And a lot of people truly think that they burn a lot more. And it's interesting to show too that what you put in your body can easily cancel that workout out. So for example, 30 minutes of running is about 300 calories, and one slice of pizza, depending on your pizza, is about 350 calories. So you can easily just outdo that by like with one piece of pizza, or if you get a frappuccino or whatever, it's about 500 calories. So your nutrition and what you put in your body has so much more calories than what your body's daily expenditure is. And so if you think that you can eat whatever you want, like you were 18 again, you can just eat garbage all the time and consume all of the tasty junk food that is super, super high in calories, then you kind of get like an imbalance within your diet, and within your life. So you could be, truthfully, if you work out 30 minutes to an hour a day, you could be burning maybe like 200 to 400 calories from working out. Okay. And then all of your other daily life expenditure, daily life things that you do. For example, for me, if I don't work out in a day, I burn about 1,600 calories just from being alive. And then if I add on a workout for that day, it's about 2,000, 2,100 calories that I burn in a day. And then for your reference, if you have one slice of pizza and one frappuccino, that is a venti, which is a 16 ounce. You have one 16-ounce frappuccino and a slice of pizza, it's 850 calories. So pretty much I've had half of my calories for the day if I don't work out, or even if I do work out, honestly. You have half of your calories for the day just with one meal. And most people are going to have 2 slices of pizza, 3 slices of pizza. Most people will have a lot more than that. So if you eat 3 slices of pizza with a frappuccino, for your reference, this is just an analogy. Most people don't eat that. That's a weird combo, but let's say you have 3 slices of pizza and you sip on a frappuccino. That would be, let's do the math here, 1,600 calories just in one meal right there. And you most likely will eat more throughout the day. Most people do. And so if you're working out and you have 2,000 calories and you eat that for one meal, just one meal, you're probably still going to be hungry later. You could easily get to 2 or 3 times the amount of calories that you're burning, thus creating the weight gain, thus showing that you will not lose the weight no matter how hard you work out. Because your nutrition is not backing up the weight loss, because you were eating willy-nilly, and calories in, calories out is true science right there. The more you eat, the more you gain. The less you eat, the more you lose. The less you gain. Yeah. Another thing that a lot of people do is they overcompensate with food after their workouts. So, for example, a study a study in Appetite in 2011 found that a lot of people tend to eat more after exercise due to increased hunger, or the belief that they've earned it. But they often just like negate the amount of calories that are in the foods, and also the calorie deficit created by the workout. So that kind of means that a lot of people feel like they worked hard so they get to eat more. But if you're always thinking that, then you're never actually going to be in that calorie deficit, because you're always thinking, oh, I worked out, so I get a treat. Whenever you're on the normal days, you don't get a treat. So then you're back to like down to the normal. So like you're always kind of leveling out with yourself. So you work out, eat normal, or sorry. My gosh. You don't work out and you eat normal for that day. You're right here, level. And then you work out and then you give yourself a treat along with eating normal, level. You're always going to be level with that thought. So instead of treating yourself after every single workout with food, you can treat yourself with a task, with an activity, with whatever, going to the store, buying like clothes or something that you feel like you have always wanted. Like you finally decided that you wanted to run a 10K, so you ran a 10K, and now you deserve to get a new sound bar or whatever. Um, and so that's a great way to create a reward system that does not include food. Um, and then after your workouts too, if you really want a treat, have something that's a little bit more um, not calorie, nutritionally dense. So fueling yourself with protein, with high protein meals, high fiber meals, and then also a carb meal. So you really want to look for something that is or refuels your protein and refuels your carbs. And then we'll also have that fiber to help you feel satiated. So a great example of this meal concept is having chocolate milk. Chocolate milk with like a what's a great source of fiber that is easy and good to go? I would say like a fruit or a vegetable of some sorts. Or you could even do like if you wanted to 5-for-1 bar, whatever. But chocolate milk is really good with the protein refuel and the carb refuel. You get a little bit of both of those. And then the fiber can come in with like a fruit, a vegetable, or even like a whole grain of some sort. So like you could do like overnight oats. I don't know. Kind of find what makes you feel good, but really focus on the high protein and high carb right after your workouts to help refuel and reset your body for the next workout. And then another thing that a lot of people will do or kind of think happens is that they think that cardio is like the end all be all thing, and that's what's going to boost your metabolism and that's what's going to help you lose weight. When truthfully, it's really strength training. Strength training will help increase muscle mass, which will help you burn more calories whenever you are not doing anything. And that actually comes into play because your muscles require food. Your muscles require energy to move, to work, to do all that kind of stuff. So whenever you have more muscle mass, then your muscle mass will require more food. Therefore, raising your basal metabolic, there's a gnat right there, raising your basal metabolic rate, and therefore burning more calories. Cardio does not necessarily increase your muscle mass because you're not doing resistance training. It is all cardiovascular training. It's all working out your heart. And so resistance training is what's going to provide that lean muscle mass and increase that fat loss compared to cardio alone. Cardio, truthfully, you do use your muscles, but you're not resistance training them at all. Depending on the cardio. Again, if you are sprinting with a weighted vest or you're sprinting with a parachute attached to you, like, yeah, you're gonna get some cardiovascular training and also resistance training. But most people don't do that. Most people think cardio is like going for a bike ride or going for a run, which is totally great and totally awesome because you need to train your heart. But if your goal is weight loss, then prioritize doing strength training as opposed to cardio. Because muscle truly does burn 3 times more calories than fat does, making weight loss easier for you in the long term. And then also exercise can increase appetite in some people. Exercise can cause hormonal changes, specifically high intensity exercise. And with those hormonal changes, they can increase your hunger in women specifically. And so whenever you're doing a little bit more high intense stuff, you tend to be hungrier. And for those women who are like, I eat like a bird, I can't eat enough, which is fair. That is fair. Hormones play a massive role in like how much you can eat and how much you feel hungry for. But with more intense workouts, that hunger cue will increase a little bit more, and it makes it easier to consume food for those people who feel like they truthfully do not eat enough. But it also can make it really difficult for the people who tend to overeat and consume more than what was actually burned during the workout, therefore creating that levelness that we talked about earlier. And so something that I do encourage you to do is tracking your food, seeing what you actually eat on a daily basis. And then also knowing the difference between what true hunger is and emotional hunger. I've kind of talked about this a little bit on my Instagram. But a true hunger is it's a very gradual feeling. It is very um, let's see, it's very non-specific. Any food will satisfy your craving. It doesn't have to be anything like super specific. And then emotional hunger on the flip side of that is like ultra super specific, comes on really randomly. And you can only be satisfied by having that one food because that's all you're craving. And so that is an emotional hunger because it is ultra specific and it's basically your body signaling a comfort food to help you manage some emotions. Whereas a true hunger, your body just needs fuel, and so it'll take anything. And that doesn't mean to say that like you have if you have true hunger that you can't have cravings. You can have cravings with true hunger. You could be like, I'm in the mood for Mediterranean instead of pasta. I feel like Mediterranean taste would be more a little bit more refreshing, and I feel like I want that. That's different than I need ice cream and I need ice cream right now, or else I'm gonna die. That's emotional hunger, right? And then whenever you do eat those true hunger cravings, focus on high protein, fiber rich meals. And if your emotional hunger is very present and very screaming at you, try to find other things to manage your emotions and to solve that hunger, maybe by going on a walk or drinking a lot of water or picking up other habits whenever you feel those habits coming on of, I need to have ice cream right now, and then replacing them with a healthier habit that will help support your weight loss goals. And then nutrition is also simpler to control than exercises. So creating a 500 calorie deficit is easier by adjusting the food intake rather than exercising for an extra hour daily. So it is much easier to eat less because you can do that right in the moment than it is to go for an hour run because you get busy, truthfully. And a lot of my clients are women who have families, women who have children, women who have a lot of responsibilities. And they cannot fathom going for an hour run or an hour workout session every day. They just like do not have the time for that. And they do not have the space for that. But it is important to prioritize fitness and to really make sure that you do get it in during your week because it will help you with increasing that muscle mass, like we talked about earlier, and to help you burn more calories at rest. Therefore, creating that deficit a little bit easier and that weight loss a little bit faster. And so examples of creating this deficit in your normal day-to-day life and adjusting your food intake could look like skipping a high calorie snack that you know is pretty high in carbs, sugars, whatever it may be, that could be about like 500 calories or higher. Um, and that decision alone will take about like 5 minutes. Okay. If we're looking at it in time space. It's a 5 minute decision right there. And then burning 500 calories is about 45 minutes plus of cardio. That takes a long time to burn 500 calories rather than skipping the high calorie snack or even taking one less scoop of a carb heavy portion of your meal or eating just a little bit less, but still eating like the same quality of food, just a little bit less. And so practical swaps that you can do to help make this a little bit easier is to choose protein packed breakfasts over sugar loaded breakfasts or even protein focused meals over anything else. And that would look like having eggs for breakfast instead of sugary Fruit Loop cereal or having a protein shake instead of just milk alone. It'll have a little bit more protein in it and still kind of give you that same creamy, satisfying taste that you're looking for with milk, that kind of stuff. And then cardio without strength training can also lead to muscle loss, which is very fascinating. And that kind of presents itself in that excessive cardio, specifically without the adequate protein intake that you need to maintain your muscles. It can actually break down your muscle tissue because your body needs that energy to to use during the cardio sessions. And so that can actually lead to a lower metabolism, which is so strange, but it is true and that is fact. And so weight loss, truthfully, is not just about losing pounds. If you are measuring your weight loss strictly by scale alone, you will be set up for disappointment pretty quickly. It's important to notice all the other ways that you're making progress, or even ways that you're not making progress. So, if you feel a little bit weaker, if you feel a little bit less energy, all sorts of stuff, that's negative progress. But if you are feeling like you are looking better, you feel like your body composition, it feels great, you're having more energy, you're doing all of those things, then it's all that is like true muscle gain as opposed to muscle loss. And so whenever I say weight loss is not just about losing pounds, I mean that weight loss is about losing fat and keeping the muscle, or even increasing the muscle, which might make that weight, the weight on the scale look different and may be higher, but you are doing body composition, which is overall healthier for your body. And that weight loss will go down. You will not just gain muscle mass and just be muscle and fat. Both will eventually go down, the scale and the fat, whenever you do strength training with that calorie deficit. And then weight loss alone, too, from exercise, if you were to just do weight loss from exercise, very, very minimal. Oh, excuse me. Exercise alone actually only leads to about 2 to 3% of your weight loss, and diet changes can result in a way more significant percentage of weight loss than 2 to 3. And this, I believe, is like per year. And so definitely worth the, maybe not per year. Actually, it might be per year, because it is possible, depending on your goals, for someone to lose, if they're severely overweight, 50% of their body fat in a year. That is very real, and very plausible. And so, when you are doing your strength training, make sure that you do it combined with the nutrition, and with creating a balanced diet, so that you can actually do create that weight loss that you are looking for, and that fat loss at a much faster rate. I'm sure everybody wants it to be a little bit faster as well. Who doesn't want to lose 10 pounds in 2 months? I feel like a lot of people want to lose weight almost immediately. I mean, I would. Also, I don't really have a stand for this because this is my new apartment and like this is not my permanent setup. I'm still trying to figure it out. So we're getting there. We're getting there. And then strength training too can actually improve long-term fat loss. And what that kind of looks like is strength training and lifting weights and doing resistance training and all that kind of stuff will actually boost your EPOC, which is your excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, meaning that your body continues to burn calories for up to 48 hours after a workout because of the increased amount of oxygen coming through your system, which means it's an increased building your storage back up of energy, all that kind of stuff is elevated. Therefore, that takes energy in your body. It takes energy to do anything in your body. So it can actually create fat loss for a little bit longer than just the exercise. And so 1 hour of strength training, to make this a little bit more conceptualized for you, and can actually keep your metabolism elevated for 2 days after. And cardio only burns calories during the session that you're doing cardio in. Isn't that fascinating? I think that's so cool. I love the human body. And then last but not least, a balanced approach works the best for long-term success. Whenever you are looking to lose that weight, create that balance. Have 80% of that weight loss come from your nutrition. Really focus on what you eat in the kitchen. Have 10% of it come from strength training and 10% of cardio, because it is important to still have cardio. Your heart literally pumps blood everywhere throughout your body. If you don't have a heart, it's not going to work very well. If your heart is not working well, then you're not going to work well. So it's important to have the cardio. It's important to have the strength training so that you are increasing muscle mass, you are getting stronger, you are getting more capable. Plus, whenever you are in like getting older, we're all getting older constantly. That aging process is a little bit better and a little bit more graceful and easier, and you are able to do more for longer. I think if you were to talk to any 80-year-old person who is bound by bed or like not able to be sustained on their own, not even 80, you can 70. You can talk to a 70-year-old, and if they're not able to take care of themselves, their quality of life is not very good. But if you talk to an 80-year-old who has prioritized nutrition and fitness and keeping their body healthy and is able to do everything on their own and still live a healthy and fulfilled life, their life feels so much better. Guaranteed. You talk to these people and you will see the difference between the two. And so it's important to build realistic, sustainable habits by focusing on doing strength training 3 to 4 times a week, 30 minutes tops, having balanced eating throughout your days, and then specifically with weight loss, looking for a calorie deficit, creating that calorie deficit, rather than just doing only cardio. Truthfully, only cardio will not create the change that you are looking for. And so things that can help you with creating this visual sorry, my foot is going asleep. um, Things to help you prioritize your nutrition and strength training. Because if I'm telling you, you got to do it, and you're like, okay, but how? How do I do that? You're telling me to do it, and I don't even know how. This is how you do it. Emphasize protein consumption in your life. So eat protein at every single meal. And that looks about 20 to 40 grams of protein. Whenever you eat protein consistently, it increases the ability for your body to do muscle protein synthesis, which basically is you're creating more muscle just by eating more protein. And then another thing you can do is creating or following simple strength exercises, doing those simple strength exercises in the gym, doing what you know, and eventually adding on to it whenever you want to experiment with more things or to kind of make your workouts probably a little less boring, but like focus on your squats, focus on your bicep curls, focus on your push-ups, focus on doing resistance band training work, or even the um like the cable machines, that kind of stuff. And then you can go to my Instagram, honestly, for tips and tricks on how to lift correctly, or even look it up on YouTube. How do I do this correctly so that you're not getting hurt? But stick with the basics, stick with the stuff you know, and then eventually branch out whenever that feels comfortable. And then also create some nutrition challenges for yourself or nutrition goals for yourself, along with your strength training goals or your health goals or whatever it might be. Meaning, like, you could set a goal for yourself to get 100 grams of protein for 7 days in a row, and just try that and see how that goes for you. And if you're like, wow, that was easy, amazing, bump it up, or extend the challenge. Do it for 14 days, do it for a whole month. And then eventually that will lead to pretty sustainable and realistic habits and changes in your life. And then another thing that you could do is maybe do like a food swap. So like swap out a processed meal for a whole food meal on a daily basis. Do one of those, or make sure you eat, instead of 5 processed foods, only have 2 this week if you know you eat a lot of processed foods or whatever. Or if you're like, I eat out almost every single meal, try minimizing that and say, okay, I'm only going to eat out once this week. Got to pick my favorite one. Stuff like that. And then if you have any questions or anything like that that you want to learn about, ask me for help. I've got you. And then last but not least, just know that fat loss is not all about just eating less and working out more. It's about eating smart and training effectively and knowing your goals and knowing exactly how to get to those goals, and creating a sustainable lifestyle to help you reach those goals every single day without it being a challenge. Because truthfully, living healthy and eating healthy is not just a phase in your life, it should be your life. And in order for it to be your life, you have to enjoy it. And in order to enjoy it, you have to create a way for it to be enjoyable in your life. Like, ain't no way I'm going to tell you to eat kale every single meal, my little kale cult escapees. But like, just prioritize having your vitamins, having your nutrition, and eating your snacks. They will help you mentally, but make sure that they are in balance and in check. Anyway, I hope you guys gained a lot of value from this. Leave a comment on this wherever you've seen it. If you've watched all the way through, leave me a comment about what you learned and what kind of things that you would love to implement more in your life. I really want to know how this affects you guys, if it affects you. And I really just want to be able to help out my audience and create a change in your life that you are seeking but may not know how to create. And also live healthier lives and happier lives. And so, like I promised from the very beginning, I do have my ghost story, so I'm going to read that to you. This one, I did not proofread it. It may have a little bit of grammar. I've read the last like sentence or two saying that the English is their third language, and so if you're having a hard time understanding what this is, or I'm trying to make it make sense by my reading, then I apologize, but we are in for a spook because this story is I feel like it's about I forgot to write down the title, but it's about someone's hotel stay in a country, I think in Europe or the Middle East or something. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay. Insert sound. I kept this story mostly to myself because I'm not much of a believer. I have become more of a believer in the past year. And still to this day, I don't know if I believe what I saw, but maybe somebody has had a similar experience. So please tell me if you have. I was born and raised in Denmark, but I originate from Macedonia, and my whole childhood we mostly visited Macedonia by car, rarely by plane, which is a 2-day trip. We either always ended up sleeping in Hungary or Serbia, and my parents always preferred to spend the night in Subotica, Serbia, the first city after the Hungarian-Serbian border, because many travelers have had bad experiences, including my grandparents, with robbery in that region of Hungary. I was about 8 or 9 when this happened. We got to a motel in Subotica, I don't know which one, and we got 2 rooms. My brother shared the room with my father, and I shared it with my mother. And the motel room was pretty standard. Right to the entrance was the bathroom, and the entire wall on the left of the entrance had wardrobes, drawers, and in between those, there was a table with a mirror above it. There was two twin beds, which I didn't like because when I was a kid, I couldn't sleep without feeling like there was a person behind my back as I slept on my side. I used to sleep in my brother's room though, and I used to sleep in my brother's room even though I had my own room. And my mom slept on the bed closest to the entrance, and I slept closest to the windows. As I said, I couldn't fall asleep because I was scared to turn my back to the open, so I was just laying there on my back listening to my mom snoring. I was awake for a long time trying to fall asleep on my back, and at one point I heard a crack near the entrance, but I calmed myself down because it's old furniture and it cracks. Plus, that often happens at home too. But then the drawer closed to the beds on the left of the mirror cracked even louder than the one at the entrance. Oh, that one might not make sense. I don't know if the drawer closed like to a dresser, or there was a crack closer to the beds next to the drawer on the left of the mirror. Anyway, at this point, I was really scared. I probably stopped breathing to hear if anyone else would happen to be, if anything else would happen. I always hold my breath when I'm scared and focusing at the same time, but it was quiet. Instead, I see a silhouette in the mirror, not on our side, but inside the mirror, pass slowly. It was like a gray smoke, and it went from left to right. And when it went out of frame, it was very quiet for a couple of seconds. And then the wardrobe on the right side of the mirror made a loud bang, as if someone punched it with all of their force. I was really scared, and I didn't move nor close my eyes. I just stared at the wall for hours before I eventually fell asleep. You might wonder why I didn't wake my mom or start screaming, and to tell you the truth, I don't know either. My parents always told me ghosts aren't real, so I'm guessing that this was the reason, because I'm mostly scared of not being believed, which is also the reason I haven't spoke about this to many people. Another reason was also that I'm a boy, and when I was little, I had been told to man up a lot, so I didn't want to show any signs of weakness. And yet another reason was probably also the fact that I was too scared to move or do anything. I froze completely. Today, I wish I had said something to my mom. As a kid, I thought that both my parents didn't believe in the paranormal, but now I know that my mom does, my dad doesn't. So in recent years, I told her, and she said that I should have woken her up, but she also said that when I was a kid, that I was a kid, implying that I don't remember the situation that well. I have also told my brother about this, and he believes what I saw, but he thinks that it was my mind playing tricks because I was scared, which is a possibility. Another possibility I thought of was that I had sleep paralysis, but that wasn't an ongoing theory of mine up until the point I had actually experienced sleep paralysis, and it wasn't the same as the time in Serbia. In Serbia, I was wide awake the entire time. I never fell asleep prior to the event of the silhouette. I've had other creepy encounters, but for all of them, I always thought of a rational explanation. This one just bugs me because I don't know what to make out of it. After my experience with sleep paralysis, I've started to believe a bit more in this stuff, not because of the sleep paralysis itself, but because I know that the encounter in Serbia wasn't sleep paralysis. I'm posting this here, assuming and hoping you believe me. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And please tell me that it could have been uh, please tell me what it could have been, or if you have anything similar happen to you. By the way, English is my third language, so if you find any sentences to be too complicated, that would be the reason. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay, that's it. Very interesting story, I will say. I don't think that I would think that it was like sleep paralysis because he was awake the whole time. And so I feel like my initial thought if I were in this situation would be my eyes are playing tricks on me. Um, but also I've also heard too that like mirrors are dimensions and mirrors are portals and mirrors are can be a little creepy. So like maybe there was something living in that mirror. I have no idea. There are people who have that story where they have like an antique mirror that has like shadows in it, and there's horror movies made about that. So I don't know. I feel like based off of what I've heard paranormal wise, I would assume that like that mirror was like a portal of some sorts and there was some entity attached to that mirror that was showing up through the mirror rather than in the space. I don't know. That's creepy though. I don't think that I would be scared in that moment. I think I'd be more intrigued and interested and like excited to debunk it, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. And also, thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry that I didn't post last week, but I'm truly trying to post more regularly. And I really want to post on Mondays. This is getting posted on Tuesday. So who am I? Who am I to say? But anyway, I just want you guys to know that I appreciate you for being here. And remember to be bold and be balanced and don't fear the carbs. I'll see you guys next week.